a real world scenario where we can see the observer pattern. In Android, we have a concept of a broadcast receiver. So if your background is Android, most probably you are aware of this API. If not, it's pretty simple. So this is a observer API, like observer interface, and then register receiver as an unregistered receiver. It's like a observable object at a OS level, not at a app level, and that has this information how to register and unregister this receiver. So first we can check this. So basically this broadcast receiver is an abstract class, and then we have a method, this one, which is on receive, which you need to implement. So you guys remember in our case we have an observer, and inside we make the method abstract update, and the user needs to use. So in this case we are saying, okay, I created this receiver, and hey OS, you need to notify me when that specific work is done, and that work we are sending in an intent filter. I'm not going deep into this, but it's more like telling the OS what in which event I'm interested. And then after to save myself from the memory leak, I'm also calling this unregistered receiver. So now we can jump into see how they implemented. And I tried, and sometimes I feel on some places maybe I'm doing wrong because it need more time. So we will see until what point. So one is observer is done. Now we are going how it's implemented. So once I click this, I found, okay, this is a context wrapper. Okay, but this is an activity. So how that is a context wrapper? So now we can check what is the relation between activity and context wrapper. So okay, so activity is extended from the sorry, context wrapper, and context theme wrapper is the context wrapper. Okay, so this is something we need to come again and then check. So it's saying, okay, m base, and what is this m base? It's someone is giving us, so it's a composition. It's not so in inside of a context wrapper there is a composition. Someone is giving us this m base, and sometimes we are also calling this attach base context. Okay, now we need to first figure it out how who is giving this object, and then after that we can understand how it's working. So again, in activity we are extending from the context wrapper, and at some point, is there any method uh, like this? So in activity there is a method is called attach, which is an internal API which is not exposed. This method is called, and once this is called, someone is providing this context object. We will try to figure it out who is calling that. And then this is calling attach base context, which is calling this. And now we can see, okay, this is a context theme wrapper. So now we understand, okay, how this composition works, who is giving that object. Now we can go back and then figure it out who is giving that context. So we can jump into figure it out register receiver method. So this is an internal API. I spent some time and I don't found who is calling this, but after spending some time in an Android open source code, I found a activity thread. There is a one class. Here I found this class is calling this method internal API here, and you can read what I found. This class is kind of a OS level class, it look like, and it's responsible to start an activity. Once we call the start activity, basically behind the scene this class is doing a lot of stuff. I'm not able to read everything, and in the end also it's like you can see it's saying perform launch activity. So inside of a perform launch activity, this is the method where we are at this place. Once everything is done what is required, we are on a activity, oh sorry, activity dot attach. We are here, which is an internal API of this. So this one is called. Now we need to figure it out what is app context. So who is giving us this app context? Okay, so this one, there is a one more method, create base context for activity, which is taking this r is an activity info. And in this class, the class is same, this method, there is a one more context implementer. We are going here. So this context implementer is responsible to create that context. and then that is returning. Okay, so now we understand from where this activity context is coming. It's coming from the activity thread. Activity thread class is mostly what, as per my understanding, is called start activity. Then an activity thread is responsible to perform some stuff and then launch that. Once this is performing, it create this context, and the context created, then it is calling this internal API of an activity where it's passing this context. Okay, until now we know, okay, that composition is done, the attached base context is done. So next step is this base context which we are getting, how that one is calling register receiver. So context impl, is there any method register receiver? So there is a register receiver method. So basically we call this method register receiver. Internally there is an activity. In activity we have a context wrapper. Context wrapper has a composition for the mbase object, which is context. And now that once call the mbase, like I can show you again, so everything will be easy to understand here. And then we go here. So this mbase is basically, once we attach, we assign, this is coming from activity thread. And now once we call that register receiver, it's calling here this method, this delegated to this, and then there is a register receiver internal. Again, internal means I think no one can access this API. So now we are here. So receiver is coming here, all the information is coming here. Here we are registering with feature. So this is activity manager.get service. We can go inside here. So once I'm here, what I found from here, it start working to access the activity class, activity service, and here it moving towards the native code. Maybe I'm wrong, but as per my exploration, I found it's coming going to the AIDL and the native C++ code, and from there we are asking to the service manager, give me this activity service, and which I found. Okay, going back to here, activity manager, I read also this code, so got some information from here, and in the end I found this is coming giving us the activity manager service. So this one is a code, to make sure we are not confused. Context wrapper, once the context wrapper call register receiver call these methods internally, and then we are here, and then at this point we are saying, okay, activity manager get service, and then we are asking to that service, give me the activity manager service. And at this point we have a interprocess communication IPC under the, and then from there we are calling register with feature. So this register with feature is available in this service method. So at this point register receiver is called delegate to this, and now we are here. In this case there's too much information, you can read if you want, but I try to go directly. What I found is, until this point there are too many exceptions, and it looked like this work is happening at a OS level, like kernel level. And here I found there are two things. One, there is a hash map is which is updated somehow, it's getting this information as binder here. Then we are checking, the kernel is checking some information, and in the end when everything works properly, they do register here. Just like in our observable we call add register, in this case when we call the register receiver here, things will move until at this point. And then we can see what is this add receiver method. Okay, so I'm not able to check this. So what is this app call? In app we have a m receiver. So in this case we have a process record. Process record should have this m receiver method. So process record, and inside of process record we have this service, activity manager service. And what the method name is, receiver list activity manager m receiver and add receiver. So we need to find what is this m receiver. mm, R1 is a receiver list which contain the process record, then process record, PROC, process record, any other information, receiver record. Okay, this one is M receiver process record, app is getting this, and then we have process receiver record, which is this, and then here we are calling add receiver. So what happened from here, I'm not sure how what is happening here. It looked like some work is happening around the checking the process, the registration, that app process is still there, and if the process is not there, that will throw an exception, blah blah blah. And then everything is good, looks good, it's saying okay, add register, and in this case we are here, and then we are adding here in this. And once I check this, I found this one is a array set of receiver list. So once we add register, this one is calling as per my exploration receivers.add. And also in our case, we also have a list, mutable list. So in this case, they have an array set of receiver list. And once this is registered, they will do the remaining things. Now, how it's calling the unregistered receiver? Again, same, because it's a compose, is calling by context and context IMPL. And we can see unregistered should be U. So unregistered receiver, it's calling again the get service method. Get service is in under the hood calling the activity manager service. When activity manager service called, this call again the unregistered, and unregistered is this one, unregistered receiver, this, we have this. Then again same thing is happening here, and it's calling remove receiver, which is again going inside, and remove receiver is again calling the remove and receiver. Plus there is one more catch, which I'm not able to figure it out, like they are also saving this information in a hash map. So, and they write okay, keep track of all intent receiver that have been registered for broadcast. So they are saving on two places, one place is this and the other place is this receiver, and both look like these both classes look this basically this class looks like the kernel level class, which is always there and you can access by using the iBinder IPC. And then this one is an object inside of this class which we are accessing. So this is how they implemented. Now we also can create our own broadcast receiver, send broadcasts. I will ask you, you should go and then check how they implemented